Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Today we're talking about the 5 best practices for companies with a virtual team. Now, virtual teams have become more and more prevalent nowadays, but however, once you decide to move forward or towards a distributed team, there's going to be a learning curve to leading a remote organization. Now, while 50% of the US workforce has jobs that are compatible with partial telecommuting, only 2.8% are actually working from home, which means companies need to get up to speed with the remote revolution, honestly. Virtual teams are more productive, more efficient. They save money on overhead and result in happy and motivated employees. Now, Dom Price, a work futurist for Atlassian, argues that decades of experience has shown us that being under a microscope does not lead to intrinsic motivation. So let's check out the 5 best practices for newly virtual companies. All right. Number one, slow down to speed up. Slow down to speed up is a business concept, and it's similar to the old adage measure twice and cut once. Now, in an instantaneous digital world, we want our information or we want our results fast, right? Of course. However, hastiness is not the answer when setting up a successful virtual team. A Harvard Business Review study showed that companies with a slow, deliberate, strategic approach end up averaging 40% higher sales and 52% higher operating profits. Those are good numbers. In this case, slowing down refers to creating strategy and policies for your virtual team, making sure that the proper tools are in place, right? And taking the time to set up the appropriate expectations, okay? In addition to that, we want to explore the potential roadblocks so that we can study and learn how to counteract them, right? So when management and HR teams slow down to lay a solid foundation for a virtual company, work will definitely speed up afterwards. Number two, master your communications plan. Now, there are 2 steps to creating a communications plan for virtual organizations. The first one is how you communicate, and the second one is establish a protocol for communications. Back to number one, how you communicate. You need to select a program that your virtual team can use for communications. If you want a simple and free chatting system, your team can use Skype. Another one is Slack. Slack is one of the most prevalent chat programs with multi-tiers of service. Some business software solutions include chat or chat programs, if you will. It's really up to you what you want to use. It just depends on the size of the team and where your team members are and really what works for you guys. All right. If you're utilizing a G Suite for business, their version is Hangouts. I think it's Google Hangouts. Now, the second part to that is establish a protocol for communications. This is really important. Once you select a chat program, it's important that you set up the ground rules for using this communication system. Excuse me. So, some remote workers find communication via chat to be more disruptive than an actual office environment. Have your team utilize like away messages, available, on call, trying to focus, but chat if important, or unavailable, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure that also that the staff, respects each other's statuses, as well as honestly using them. So in other words, not just hanging out with a red dot on their Skype all day, okay? So you could even outline protocols for what scenarios require an email. For instance, like protocols for phone calls or our next point or a meeting, whatever. Number 3, meeting structure. It's integral to have a well-structured and defined meeting schedule for your company, especially for your remote team. Organizations with small teams often find weekly team meetings to be more beneficial. while difficult to coordinate, especially when dealing with multiple time zones. So please keep that in mind too. Be respectful of other people's time zones when you're scheduling a meeting. Company-wide meetings are very valuable to your organization, even if they only occur on a quarterly basis. Global science media company Buffer focuses on creative and interactive all-hands meetings where they include physical activities, Q&A, and smaller breakout sessions should they need to be done or should if required. The key with the large meeting is to make them short, an hour or less, with a focused agenda and a dedicated moderator driving the meeting, keeping everybody on task, keeping the meeting flowing, keeping everybody on point to what the agenda is, and having less people stray away. One-on-one meetings with workers and their managers are also important. Remote workers often feel like they lose the open door policy with their bosses when there isn't really a physical door there to open. All right? And the fifth one, manage but don't micromanage. Management of virtual teams can be challenging. That's true because I lead a few of them myself, so I know this to be a fact. There's no way to casually drop by to ask for a status report. So one of the main differences between starting a project with a virtual team compared to managing an in-house team is that you need to pay more attention to avoid the micromanagement. There's a delicate balance between setting clear expectations and benchmarks and trusting that they will happen. Tools such as project management, that type of software can be utilized for collaboration to ensure that employees are staying on task. A few other examples will be listed below in the description for the sake of time. Also for status reports and managing tasks, if you will, is to set up a definite time and date on a weekly basis where they can provide status updates, where they know every Tuesday at 6 p.m. I need to provide a status update. That'll keep you from having to ask and kind of give it that micromanage feel. We don't want to do that. So let's set up a time and then hold everybody accountable to that time. You can't give someone a high five via virtual office or even have a team lunch to celebrate closing a deal, for example. On the other side, or the flip side of the coin, it's also not easy to give constructive feedback via webcam. Now, feedback is an integral part of any management model, okay? And when you're on a virtual team, it takes finesse, okay? Feedback structure can be something that you can lay out with your management and HR in the initial company policy, specifically with formal write-ups and or reprimands. However, these policies can be or also need to be adaptable to evolve with your company. All right, so keep that in mind as well. Positive reinforcement can be frequent and less structured. Buffer, the media company, starts their all-hands meetings with a celebration section where they congratulate both work and personal milestones. With a remote team, recognition can go a long way. So, with that information, and with all that being said, is your team or company ready to go remote? Distributed teams are becoming the way of the future, people. It is what it is. But for many companies, they're still not ready to go full remote. By applying and adapting these best practices, you can help lead your virtual team to success. So, again, is your organization ready to take the plunge? If not, let me know. I can come in and help facilitate that. Like I said, I lead several virtual teams on a daily basis. There are a lot of barriers that can hinder you or it can hinder your success. And I have done this and I know what barriers to look for to help give you a smooth transition into leading a remote team. So again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you need help or some coaching with any leadership and team development, culture, diversity training, please let me know. And we will sit down and put together a tailor-made plan to ensure your success as a leader, whether it's in-house or remote or wherever. All right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please like and subscribe and share the channel as well. All right? Have a good day, and remember, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?